Welcome back. In this lesson, we're looking at generative AI explained simply, how AI creates text, images, and videos. AI/machine learning educational explainer. Now let's look at how can AI create something new. Generative AI can write text, create images, make videos, and even generate code. But how does a machine create something that looks new? Is it thinking like a human? Is it copying from the internet? Or is it learning patterns from data? In this video, we will explain generative AI simply. By the end, you will understand how AI turns a prompt into new content. Now let's look at roadmap of the video. First, we will understand what generative AI means. Then we will see how it learns from large amounts of data. Next, we will explain prompts and why they matter. After that, we will understand how AI creates text. Then we will see how AI creates images and videos. Finally, we will discuss strengths, limitations, and responsible use. Now let's look at what is generative AI. Generative AI is a type of artificial intelligence that creates new content. The content can be text, images, video, audio, code, or designs. Traditional AI often predicts, classifies, or recommends. Generative AI produces something new based on what it has learned. For example, it can write an email, create an image, summarize a report, or generate a video scene. The key word is generate, which means to create. Now let's look at generative AI learns patterns. Generative AI does not create from nothing. It learns patterns from large amounts of training data. For text, it learns patterns in words, sentences, grammar, and meaning. For images, it learns patterns in shapes, colors, objects, and styles. For videos, it learns patterns in motion, scenes, timing, and visual continuity. After learning these patterns, it can generate new combinations. Now let's look at the role of prompts. A prompt is the instruction we give to a generative AI system. It can be a question, command, description, or example. The prompt guides the AI toward the type of output we want. A vague prompt usually gives a vague result. A clear prompt gives the AI better direction. For example, make an image is weak. But create a clean diagram showing how rain forms is much better. Now let's look at how AI creates text. Text-based generative AI works by predicting what should come next. It breaks language into small pieces called tokens. A token can be a word, part of a word, or a symbol. The model studies the prompt and previous tokens. Then it predicts the next likely token. This repeats again and again. That is how a full sentence, paragraph, or article is generated. Now let's look at simple text generation example. Imagine you type, the sun rises in the AI looks at the context. It knows that east is a likely next word. But for longer answers, it does this many times. Each new word depends on the prompt and the words already generated. This is why the same model can write stories, summaries, emails, explanations, and code. It is not memorizing one fixed answer, it is generating based on patterns. Now let's look at how AI creates images. Image generation works differently from text generation. Many image models start with random noise. Then the model gradually removes noise and forms an image. The prompt guides what the image should contain. If the prompt says a red car on a mountain road, the model tries to create visual patterns matching that description. It has learned what cars, roads, mountains, colors, and styles usually look like. Step by step, noise becomes a clear image. Now let's look at image generation is pattern-based. The AI does not understand images exactly like humans do. It has learned statistical patterns from many examples. It learns that eyes usually appear in faces. It learns that shadows match light direction. It learns that a tree has a trunk, branches, and leaves. When you give a prompt, it combines learned patterns into a new image. That is why details can sometimes look realistic but still contain mistakes. Now let's look at how AI creates videos. Video generation is more complex than image generation. A video is not just one image. It is a sequence of frames over time. The AI must create objects, backgrounds, motion, and continuity. For example, if a person walks across a room, the person should stay consistent across frames. The lighting, camera angle, and movement should also remain believable. This is why video generation is harder than image generation. Now let's look at text, images, and videos compared. Text generation predicts language patterns. Image generation creates visual patterns. Video generation creates visual patterns plus motion over time. All three depend on training data and prompts. But each output type has different challenges. Text needs coherence and meaning. Images need visual accuracy. Videos need motion, timing, and consistency. Now let's look at strengths of generative AI. Generative AI is useful because it can speed up creative and knowledge work. It can help write drafts, explain topics, summarize documents, and generate ideas. It can create educational images, marketing visuals, design concepts, and code examples. It can also support learning by explaining difficult topics in simple language. For businesses, it can assist with customer support, content creation, training, and analysis. The biggest strength is not replacing humans completely. The biggest strength is helping humans work faster and think better. Now let's look at limitations and responsible use. Generative AI is powerful, but it is not perfect. It can make mistakes. It can produce biased, outdated, or incorrect information. It can create realistic-looking content that is not true. It may also raise copyright, privacy, and safety concerns. That is why human review is important. Use generative AI as an assistant, not as an unquestioned authority. Now let's look at final recap. Let us recap the full idea. Generative AI creates new content from prompts. It learns patterns from large amounts of data. For text, it predicts tokens step by step. For images, it can turn noise into a visual output guided by a prompt. For videos, it must generate frames, motion, and consistency over time. Generative AI is powerful, but it still needs human judgment. Learn the tool, use it responsibly, and keep building your AI skills. To wrap up, here is the key takeaway. You now have a structured overview of generative AI explained simply, how AI creates text, images, and videos. Review the core ideas, connect them to examples, and revisit concepts like how can AI create something new, roadmap of the video, what is generative AI? When practicing, if you can explain the idea in your own words, you have really understood it.